The Boilermakers of Purdue trending towards a 1 seed in large part because Zach Edey's in the middle. He's got 10 consecutive games with 15 points and 10 boards. That's the longest streak by a Big Ten player in the last quarter century. The longest by any player since Notre Dame's Luke Herringody in 2008-2009. Edey collected a whole bunch of hardware last year, including the Wooden Award, joining Glenn Robinson as the only Boilermaker player to win it. If Edey wins it again, he'll join Ralph Sampson, the Virginia legend, as the only players to win it twice. And he cracked the 2,000-point mark earlier this season to become the 5th player in Big Ten history with 2,000 points and 1,000 boards, joining Trace Jackson Davis, Ethan Happ, Herb Williams, and fellow Boiler Joe Barry Carroll. Pleasure to be joined for the first time by reigning National Player of the Year, Purdue senior Zach Edey. Zach, thank you very much for taking the time. You're talking to a guy who himself took a long time to get out of college, but that was because I was a lousy student. Very different path for me. You decided to come back for another run, one last victory lap, I guess, in a way, in West Lafayette. What's been the most fun part of this season to date, Zach?
Really just playing with my team. I know it's kind of like the boring answer, but I have so much fun with the guys on my team. Especially this year, I've really made it a priority myself just to have fun, making sure I'm enjoying this. This is my last ride. I think that's kind of been the big thing for me.
We go to college, Zach, to try to figure out what our job's going to be. I think we can connect the dots on what you're going to do, but it's just an interesting relationship with big men and the NBA at the moment. And you have the opportunity to get feedback about where you are. And I think watching you this year, it's clear like your fitness level is at a different level. And that's obvious. But in terms of what you're working on with an eye on the future, how much of it is based on what kind of intel you got back from the league to try to improve?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely was a thing that a lot of teams had told me, like work on my quickness, work on my foot speed, work on guarding in space. At the end of the day, the one thing I was really focused on was helping Purdue win. And if there's critiques that lined up for the NBA and college, I was obviously going to really, really work hard on those.
Having seen you play in person, I get an appreciation for just how physical teams try to be with you. And I have such a respect for the fact that your expression doesn't change regardless of how you're officiated. And I know it's difficult for them to figure it out, and I'm sure it's difficult for you to be the guy. What's been sort of your secret, I guess, is the way to put it, to not allow how you either get calls or don't to impact what you do on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, it's a process. Obviously, you don't want to let the refs ever take you out of a game. My dad used to tell me this was when I played baseball. But like you always got to focus on like the next pitch. You can't let like a pitch that you just threw affect your next pitch because then you're throwing 2 bad pitches for no reason. So I think that kind of applies with the referees. They're trying their hardest to make every right call, but you can't let one missed call affect your next play on defense, for example, and then give up an easy layup. Then you're really, really messing up the flow of the game.
It's February, and the tournament's way down the road. And I'm trying to figure out how to ask you about this because we know that the last few haven't ended the way you wanted. But you know what I started looking at was Virginia and the path they had the year after they lost to a 16. They went 29-3, and then they won a title. And I'm looking at your guys' season, and it feels like it could be very similar to that. You're trending to be a 1. You could have a very similar record. But ultimately, you guys want to finish it the way you want to finish it. Has there been a message from Coach Painter or conversations among your group about when you get there, sort of getting rid of the past and just focusing on the chance to do something truly memorable?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we've talked about it. Obviously, we talked about kind of how last year went. We have the same group of guys back.
Right.
But I feel like it's a completely different team. I feel like we have Lance Jones in here now. He gives us kind of a different look. And then we also just have guys that got older. We had a fully freshman backcourt last year. They know the game more. They've already been through a full season of college basketball. I think even though we have the same roster, it's a completely different team.
I'm going to close with this. I talked about you being pretty stoic. I think you do a really nice job managing your emotions when you play. But I'm looking forward to March 10th. It's a Sunday. Wisconsin comes to town. That's the last game in Mackey. That's a magical venue. I talk about Tommy Luce being the mayor of Mackey. I feel like you're the king of Mackey. And as you look around,
we got the same number.
Say again?
So we got the same number.
Yeah, I hope you realize the honor that is to have Luce's number.
I definitely do.
But when you look around that building one last time, and think about the journey and the growth, where you started and where you are, what emotions, Zach, do you imagine will be right there at the surface on that day?
A lot. I think Purdue's given me so much. The coaching staff, the university, my teammates, they really just gave me a chance. They came in and they believed in me and they really worked with me and they stuck with me. So I owe this university so much. Playing in the last game of MAC, it'll be a lot of emotions for me.
You know what, Zach, I'm sure a lot of people like myself that root for a different team in the Big Ten, on one hand, are just thrilled to not have to play against you again, but I really get the feeling, and I'm sincere about this, and I mean this from my side of it. I hope you cut down nets on the way out for you, for Matt, for Purdue, because you guys have a great basketball tradition, and really that's the only thing left to do for you guys, and I hope that's how it ends for you, man. You deserve to walk off the stage a champion, because that's what you've been throughout. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to be with me tonight.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you for that.